Now Griffin checking out a right-hand wall. He's got the speed. He'll pull in. Griffin makes it. Now setting up a turn off the lip. Jams it with the tail blow. And Griffin Colapinto hangs on to a beautiful combination.
So, when the dust had settled on the Vissla CT Shaper rankings post-Mayo Rip Curl Pro Portugal, it was Marcio Zuvi, Brendan Leckie, Yufu Penrose, and the entire Sharpeye team that deserve a lot of credit for having a monster event in Europe. They got 5 results, quarterfinals or better, a win from Johanne Defay on the women's side, and now they are the front runners on the Vissla CT Shaper rankings heading into Australia, moving up from 3rd where they're sitting before the Portugal event. As we mentioned before the break, Matt Biolos and the Lost Surfboards program, the defending Shaper of the year, have rocketed up to 2nd with 5 results of their own and a win from Griffin Colapinto on the men's side. Lost Surfboards, they weren't even in the top 5 before Portugal, and now they're in the front runners' rear view heading into Bells Beach, so good movement from them. Mitch, what did you notice on the Vissla CT Shaper rankings in Europe?
Well, first things first, we got to address that. I know we're only in year 2, but I didn't expect the person who was champion the year before to drop down so many spots in the first few events of the year and make up for it in event number 3. So I think that's one big thing to point out right there. But my major pickup was obviously the improvements that Mayhem did with their team. But Sharpeye, they are in a commanding lead right now. Nearly 7,000 points of difference between 1st and 2nd. And then you go from 2nd to 3rd, which is lost all the way to DHD. There's 12,000 points as a difference right there. So major differences. There's 3 Sharpeye riders on the women's side that are currently in the top 10. If they are able to maintain that, it's going to be significant for them, especially if Johanne Defay can stay in the 1 or 2 spots heading in to Margaret River. I think most importantly, that's where we've seen a lot of struggles from the Sharpeye team in the previous year. Now, shift over to the men's side. Look at the quarterfinals. Crosby, you have Griffin, you have somebody like Gabe Medina, who isn't really going to be in the top running unless he wins every single event for Johnny Cabianca. But Jake Marshall, Sharpeye guy. Kanoa was right there, but you have Leo, who also made it for Sharpeye into the quarterfinals. Joan Duru, big performance as a wild card for the Mayhem and Lost Surfboards team. So big upsets, and once again, the diversity of people on tour makes things exciting. It also makes the Vissla CT Shaper rankings even more exciting because you have people that have nothing to lose and everything to gain that are also adding a lot of valuable points to their Shapers too. So this is where I feel it all comes down to being in rhythm with the ocean during a competition. And that's what definitely happened with both Johanne Defay and Griffin Colapinto when they ended up winning this event here in Peniche.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Sharpeye women's team, right, which we talked about all last year, they were so dominant on the men's side, but their women's program last year, Joanne was hurt. Tatiana had an off year for her. It was really their Achilles heel in 2023. So far in 2024, it is leading the way, right? We mentioned Johanne Defay with the win, but Tatiana had a semis finish. Luana Silva had a quarterfinals. It's very interesting how, Yufu and Brendan and Marcio have bounced back after 2023. One thing that I was curious to get your take on, Mitch, was in terms of the equipment that the surfers were riding there. Obviously, different waves, right? We're at Super Tubos. We're at Moy Lest. It's big, it's small, it's windy, it's onshore, there's barrels. What did you notice as a competitor yourself that they were using? Was there anything that stood out, or was everyone really kind of going back to their safe spaces where this is my Ferrari all-around board, I use this everywhere, that makes sense after Hawaii?
A lot of people on tour tend to ride the most high-performance boards that are available to them. There are times where I'm not super stoked on that. I always feel like you need to be able to have a groveler in your quiver, and you should always bring that to the beach, or at least leave it in the locker room too. Have it waxed up, prepared, fins in, everything. And I think that's kind of what threw a lot of people off guard when we had to move to Moy Leste too, because Super Tubos can be very tide dependent. On a higher tide, it's a more playful beach break. On a lower tide, you're basically surfing Newport Beach on steroids. The wave's real quick. It has a lot of push. So Joan Duru, I know he's a big fan of the Whiplash model from Mayhem. It's basically like a driver, has a lot of rocker, really manufactures speed and controls it well. It all comes down to the fin use too. But for Griffin, Crosby, I know those guys for a fact were on a driver 3.0. It's the most high performance board that Mayhem makes right now, and it has a lot of rocker too. So just being able to control that speed and most importantly, staying in the pocket and surfing in the pocket the whole time, to me was super noticeable on finals day, especially when Griffin was able to beat Ethan Ewing in the final. On the women's side, a lot of the Sharpeye riders, I know they're a big fan of Toledo's boards. 77 primarily. It's more of a beach break board, high performance, forces you to surf in the pocket too. To me, that's probably the best pick when it comes to surfing a wave like this. It's not like you're going to France and, Hossegor can be very tide dependent too, but it's usually a mushier wave that you're able really to surf as well as you could on. Super Tools is a different animal. It's a wave that really demands you not only pick up your pace throughout the wave. Even Lakey Peterson spoke about it in one of her interviews. This is a wave that's really fast, and my timing was just off the entire time. So need to be surfing something with a lot of rocker. CI Pro, CI 2.0 Pro if you're riding Channel Islands. 77 if you're on the Sharpeye. I'd say the Driver 3.0 if you're a Mayhem team rider. And for somebody like Pizel, good opportunity to bring out the Red Tiger too, which is one of their most popular models nowadays.